My name is Harvard Stannford, proudly representing Anglodipajikara National Christian High School. Before proceeding with my arguments, as the first affirmative speaker on the motion, it is crucial for me to establish a precise understanding of the motion at hand, which is this House prefers the strategy of pushing for institutional reform to address police abuse and misconduct rather than defunding the police. This motion presents us with a choice between two approaches to addressing the pressing issue of police abuse and misconduct. On one hand, we have the approach of defunding the police, which means reallocating or redirecting funding away from the police department to other government agencies and programs, such as social services, youth services, housing, education, healthcare, and other community resources. This strategy proposes a significant reallocation of funds away from law enforcement with the intention of redistributing these resources towards alternative community services and programs. On the other hand, we have the alternative approach of pushing for institutional reform within the agency. It is important to acknowledge that while both approaches are directed towards addressing the same underlying issue, they diverge significantly in their methods and potential outcomes. One might even disrupting national security. And based on this narrative, we come to the conclusion that the House intends to focus on improving police operation by reforming the regulations and systems they operate under, instead of reallocating portions of their funding. And this motion strongly aligns with our perspective to addressing the issue of police abuse and misconduct. Now that I have clarified the motion, I suppose it's time to proceed to our arguments in support to this strategy of pushing for institutional reform to address police abuse and misconduct. To start with, researchers from the National Research and Innovation Agency, also called BRIN in Indonesia, have published their research about violation cases by police officers. About 1/3 of these cases involve abuse of authority, from the cases of high-ranking police officers selling confiscated hard drugs to the death case of Brigade Joshua, which involved a 2-star general. Ladies and gentlemen, these are extreme examples of the police abuse of individual police officers. A Trisakti University lecturer, a legal expert, Dr. Asep Iriawan, once expressed his concerns about the reasons why some cases were not followed up by the police. He wondered whether some cases were not pursued because they weren't considered a case or due to certain reasons such as transactional motives or the misconduct of certain individuals. Former brain researcher Dr. Sarah Siregar stated that from January to June 2023 amounted to about 34.7% incidents of abuse of authority by the police. This research recommends two things. One is to enhance personal discipline through strengthening oversight body, and two is to improve internal development through strengthening a culture of serving and protecting the community. Both of these recommendations amplify the stance of the motion and our perspective to addressing the underlying problem. By implementing reforms, such as making improvements to the robust oversight mechanisms and greater community involvement, we can develop a culture of accountability, transparency, and professionalism within the law enforcement institutions. These reforms are essential in not only holding individual officers accountable for their actions, but also addressing the root causes of abuse and misconduct, within the system itself. Following that, institutional reform allows us to preserve the essential functions of law enforcement. It is important for us to recognize the crucial role that law enforcement agencies play in maintaining public safety and upholding the rule of law. Therefore, defunding the agency only risks undermining these fundamental principles and further endangering safety and security, especially for communities vulnerable to crime and violence. The final point to consider is institutional reform presents an opportunity to rebuild trust and collaboration between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. Improvements to the police apparatus must be carried out from upstream to downstream. Institutional reform, such as strengthening the oversight body and culture, and involve a greater community, bridges the gap between police officers and the public, leading to more positive interactions, greater cooperation, and enhanced public safety. Institutional reform within law enforcement proves to be the right approach to addressing the issue of police abuse and misconduct. Germany stands as a great example. It is one of the countries that have successfully addressed the same underlying problem through the same approach. Officers in Germany demonstrate a high level of competency in fulfilling their duties. This approach works as well to lower police violence in Germany compared to other countries. In addressing the pressing issue of police abuse and misconduct, institutional reform must be considered as the solution. This proposes the strengthening of the law enforcement in ensuring safety and security to the communities instead of undermining crucial aspects of the country, risking lives and national stability. Thank you.